Hey backyard gardeners, welcome to my backyard, and today we're going to be planting some nice beautiful zucchini plants, and we're also going to do some yellow squash. I have one of my helpers here, Meet Hey Hey. She likes to follow me around the garden and basically help me dig and do all kinds of stuff, and it keeps me happy. Also keeps me on my feet. So let me show you how to basically put these zucchini plants in the ground, fertilize them in a little garden plot with some drip irrigation, and it's real easy. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. Ready? Hey, hey. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. All right, so this is a little garden plot area. I usually grow watermelons here. So this year I'm going to grow zucchini and squash, kind of rotate my crop a little bit. So I got to clean up the area a little bit. I'm going to get rid of some of these leaves just so, I mean, it's not 100% necessary to get every leaf off, but I like to get some of them off just because my chickens keep throwing them on here. Because I'm going to actually come through and put some compost. So I want to make sure the compost is, wow, look who's over here now. What's going on, buddy? That's little Speckles. You hear me digging in the leaves. You guys want to help me? No? You're going to play instead? All right. So I'm also going to just kind of, this is some of the old soil from last year, but it's actually very fertile. And then these are my drip lines I'm going to reuse from last year. Like I said in other videos, no reason to keep purchasing them over and over. You buy them once, you get the right ones, and then you don't have to keep purchasing them over. I do get chipmunks out here that like to chew through the line once in a while, and I think they do that because they're thirsty. So, you know, it's usually in the summer when it's really hot out. You'll come out and you'll be like, why is there a big, huge wet spot with a puddle? And it's because the chipmunks chewed through the line, and they just do it just for survival because they're thirsty. These lines, you know, provide good water. And if you're thirsty in the middle of summer when it's boiling hot out. So anyway, I'm just loosening up some of the soil on top here. And the reason why I do that is so when I put the transplants out here, the soil's nice and loose, and it really helps the roots kind of spread, you know, and make their way through the soil versus being very compact. Because before this, there was leaves on here. I try not to really step on this area too much, just so I don't compact it down. So it should be pretty well compacted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some compost, and I'm going to put some fresh compost down. And then after that, we're going to transplant some of the zucchini and the squash. So hopefully these birds don't kick a whole bunch of more leaves onto this little garden plot. It looks like I'm going to have to probably put a fence around it too, because these guys love the zucchini plants. I don't know, they just come up and pick all the leaves off. Right? Hey, hey. Right? You like all the garden? You like all the garden stuff? You like chewing up Dad's garden? Yeah. Here, eat these. These are chamomile, make you tired. That'd be pretty funny. I come out, all the chickens will land on eating all the chamomile. I think that's what chamomile does, right? So anyway, all right, so let's go get some of the compost and put that down. Boy, the chickens make it fun. They just add a whole bunch of fun to it. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's go get some. All right, so this is another area. This is like kind of like the back corner hangout for the chickens. They like hanging out. This is my compost area. I built this compost area. This is kind of like pretty much a completed compost. And this one on this side is up and coming. We're working on getting that composted down, but this compost, this is like really nice. I mean, there's some chunks in there still. I also got some sticks in there, which I just kind of put over there. And the minute I start digging somewhere, these birds are crazy. They come in here. They're really funny. They come in here and eat all of the worms and all the bugs. So now I can't even dig. How am I going to dig, girls? You guys are in my way. Here, watch it. You again. Hey, hey, you're in my way. Hey, hey's my buddy. She likes to follow me everywhere. But now look, I was over there. I set the camera up and I started kind of cleaning up some of the leaves. But then I didn't push play on the camera just because I wanted to clean up some of it. And I was like, oh, no, the chickens are coming. So I had to hit record real quick and jump in there and start recording for you guys, just showing you I'm cleaning up some of the area, loosening up the soil. And then, yep, here they come. They come running over. Now, I moved the camera over here while they're over there in the leaves. They heard me digging over here or something. I don't know how they knew. But anyway, all I did is I hardly put anything in this bucket. Next thing you know, yeah, 6 chickens over here. There's still some over there too, but these chickens are funny. So if you ever want to add some excitement to your life, get some chickens, because they definitely like to get into your business. But I'm trying to see if I can find them a worm. They get super excited about the worms. I think that's one of their favorite snacks. Oh, little Share got one. Usually they take the worm and they run away with it, and then the other ones are like, hey, where are you going? Where are you going so fast? And then they end up snagging half of it. All right. Let me get some of this here. Excuse me. Can I get in here? Trying to make a video to help people make gardens while you guys are over here chowing down. It's like an earthquake. The whole earth is moving. All right. So I'm going to get this bucket over there, and then I'm going to go get another bucket. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is one of my favorite tools. Don't mind me. My nose is a little stuffy. It's a lot of pollen out here. But anyway, this is my favorite tool. You know, the pitchfork guy. Yeah. Anyway, let me go ahead and get this over there. And we're going to start putting some of this compost down. I am going to sift out some of these sticks because they just happen to fall from the trees and get mixed in. And these birds literally will flatten the pile out. Then I have to go and restack it. So, but this other pile's doing really good. Put some scraps in there. I put grass clippings. I also put the leaves in there. And if I turn it over, it's actually pretty hot in there right now. So, all right. Let me go ahead and get over there. All right, here we are. So let me go ahead and just dump this in the middle. I'm gonna spread this out. And by the way, these nursery pots, this one's really good because it has handles. You could actually most likely pick these up for free at your local nursery because they just get rid of them. They come with big shrubs in them or trees, and to them it's just, you know, they have so many of them that they generally just put them off to the side and let people take them. So just ask your local nursery for some of these nursery pots. I always put a lot of plants in these. All right, here we go with number 2. All right, number 2. Yeah, like I was saying about these nursery pots, these things are great to have. You know, I put, say if I buy like a fruit tree, they come in those small ones that are like this big. I basically take them and put them in here. Especially this one having handles. It's easy to move around. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start spreading this. And this is the compost that I made. We started in the winter, believe it or not. So I have these bricks I actually use to keep my lines straight because between, there we go. It's a little ghetto, but it works. But between the kids, the dogs, everything else, My lines get knocked all over the place all the time. All right, so I'm just going to spread some of this mulch out. Like I was saying about the mulch, I think me and my son, little J, but he's getting tall, so he's medium J now. We started this compost, I believe it was in February. I wanted to show him how to start a compost and how it steams in the middle of the winter, and basically how compost works. You know, you want things to compost, you don't want them to rot. Decompose is different than rotting. And usually when it's decomposing, it makes that nice steam coming off the, excuse me, I got the hiccups. Makes the steam coming off the pile. And plus, if you pick this stuff up, it doesn't smell at all like bad. It smells like dirt. And this has twigs, leaves, grass, all kinds of different weeds from the garden. It also has just table scraps, all kinds of different things in it. And you do see some of the leaves on here, but I'm not gonna worry about that because there's some of the leaves that could have got added on later on. But for the most part, it's amazing how it works. Like this little clump of grass here, this probably got added on later on, or the chickens or something knocked the pile over from the other side where I showed you. But you could actually spend a lot of money on buying different soils and going to Home Depot or Lowe's or Garden Center to buy a whole bunch of different like topsoils or compost and stuff like that. Once you kind of get the niche to do it yourself, it's kind of cool because you're like, why am I spending like all this money on this soil when I could do it myself? And that's the whole idea behind this channel, is to show you guys how to kind of do things yourself. So I will make a video on a little bit more details on composting, because I remember when I first started, that was a big question. Like, what's the deal with the composting? How do you compost? Oh gosh, the girls found out where I was. I snuck away from them for a second, and they found out where I was. Uh-oh. Hey, I see a worm over here. Hope nobody's offended if one of the chickens get a worm, but that's just the circle. Oh, look at that bug you got. You got a worm too? How do you guys find? I don't understand how they find it so fast. They have like laser vision when it comes to bugs. Man. Yeah, so this is cool. This is pretty neat when you be self-sufficient. Some of the soil that's down below, you could actually get soil from your local municipal recycler. Like, I live in New Jersey. New Jersey's pretty good with their townships having like recycle centers, and they also have leaf mulch. So sometimes I'll put the leaf mulch down at the very base, and then I'll put a cleaner mulch on the top. And then from there, I'll detail it with like, like some of this like compost. I'll even mix in some beach sand. You just gotta be careful of the beach sand because it is pretty salty. Adds a lot of, everything you add into your soil changes your pH. And you want to keep it pretty close to your, like this is an in-ground, so I try to keep it not too far away from my native soil. So I do mix the native soil, which is like a dirt, it's like that orangey kind of dirt. It does have topsoil on top too, but anyway, I don't want to babble on too much, but I just wanted to basically show you how you could make like an in-ground. Not everything has to be in a raised bed. It doesn't have to be in a pot. I do a mix of all three. I have in-ground right here. Just like the other tomato video I made, that was all in-ground for the determinants, and then the indeterminates I put into a raised bed because that's my cherry tomatoes and they like to kind of grow like crazy. So I put them in a raised bed where I have it controlled in a different section. And then right here, I'm going to my next video is going to be my peppers. And the peppers, I like to put most of them in the pots. The only thing about doing things in pots, you just got to water it more because they dry out faster. So when you put things into the ground, the humidity in the actual grass, and then there's natural water already in the soil, kind of helps you out. Even though you do have to water it every day or every other day, depending on the weather, um, there's a humidity that's in the actual ground that you won't get into a pot. Like if you put a pot, especially if you put a pot on like a patio, the patio will really dry out the soil quickly, especially make like a crust around the outside and the top. So you got to really make sure you water it good. And then also you put like some kind of mulch inside the top of your pot. Just don't put fresh, like some people make a mistake. I've done it myself. I put fresh grass clippings on top of, like, say if I have a potted plant, like I'll show you. Say if I have a plant, I just transplant it into here, and I'm gonna be like, oh, let me use some grass clippings around the top. You don't want to use fresh grass clippings because when that starts breaking down, the fresh grass clippings are so hot, along with the summer temperatures, because they're breaking down, and the process of composting creates a lot of heat, and then it releases the gases and stuff like that. But you'll end up kind of like really frying your those fresh little white roots that are right under the surface of the soil. They get too hot, and then it's almost like cooking pasta. They actually kind of cook them, and then the plant ends up not doing too well, and just goes into survival mode. It starts flowering, and you get some nice flowers. You think you're going to have some nice crops, but then it just doesn't grow anymore. It's kind of stunted. So definitely going to have to put a cage around this area here, because these girls are pretty wild, especially since I put compost on top of here. Look at you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let's go get our plants to get ready to plant these in. What a beautiful day. Oh, you called me on coffee break. Let me go ahead and put this down. All right. This is my third or fourth take trying to make this video for you, between all the different noises, the garbage trucks, neighbors, dogs barking. Let's see if we can get it this time. So that's the one thing about having your garden in your backyard. I have neighbors that are close, and it's hard to sometimes get a video because of all the different distractions. But anyway, let's check out my little greenhouse. This is my little greenhouse I have in the backyard. The garbage truck's back, but we're going to ignore that. So this is the little mini greenhouse I have in my backyard. I got this actually from Costco. I got it on clearance because it was the last one. So I only got it for a couple $100, so it was actually worth it because the wood to make it and the materials are pretty expensive. So like I said, just ignore that noise you hear in the background. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look inside. So voila. Voila means here it is. So what you have is, I have some different things that I grew in here. I started these probably April. No, I would say a lot of the stuff I start growing here is either end of April, early May. I go from growing stuff inside the house to in here at that point because it's warm enough outside, not at night, but that's why we shut the doors. But it's warm enough to start growing things basically outdoors in your little mini greenhouse. You could build one of these out of PVC pipe and some plastic, or you could just get some like 2x3. You don't even need 2x4s. You get little 2x3s. Like I said, go to Home Depot and go to that purple cart and get like the discounted wood. Don't buy a full price because that's ridiculous. And then just kind of construct your own little, structure. And then you get like the don't get clear plastic. Get one that's kind of, it looks almost like white, because you want it to block some of the sun out. You don't want it to get full sun and be like a magnifying glass. But anyway, like I said, just ignore that noise you hear in the background. You might even hear it, I don't know, but I do. Anyway, so I got my zucchini plants, and I also got some yellow squash. So these are some of the yellow squash, and these look really absolutely fantastic. I love squash. I love zucchini because, especially zucchini, you could put zucchini inside of like some tomato sauce or some sauteed onions and some like ground turkey or ground beef. It's so good, and it's so good for you, especially if you make it with ground turkey. This here is a zucchini, but it's a golden zucchini. And if you go to some of those little farm stands on the side of the road, people always go crazy over the the golden zucchini. I don't know if you could see that, but people go crazy over it. And this plant looks beautiful. It looks amazing. It's got some nice little flower buds on there ready to go. And let me show you the other zucchini, the green. Look how beautiful these, look how big the leaves are already. Look how beautiful these big old things inside this little tiny greenhouse. So these are literally ready to go. These are ready to go on the ground. I'm gonna put these down over here. And so what I do is, it's called hardening off. You should do that with all your plants that you grow indoors or even in a greenhouse. You don't want to directly take the plant from being into a controlled atmosphere and then directly put it right into the sun, because it's just like putting a baby out in the sun. The baby's going to get sunburn. It's not good for the skin. The same thing with the plants. If you have these little baby plants, little tender leaves on them, like look at, you put this out in the sun, this is going to burn them, and they're actually you're going to lose some of your nice, and how the plants eat is through the sun. The sun goes through the actual leaf. It's called photosynthesis, and that's how it gets its sugar, to grow. And it also gets the nutrients from the soil, different minerals, and it gets the water that you water it with. And that's basically how a plant grows. All right, and then I also snuck in some of these little honey rocks. These are cantaloupes. You probably can't read my writing, but these are beautiful little cantaloupe plants. I can't wait. These Jersey cantaloupes, they're basically like, I'm gonna grow them on a trellis, so I'm gonna grow them vertical, so they kind of keep them off the ground. So I always have issues with bugs, and it's called insect pressure. The bugs like to get to some of my plants, so that's why I try to rotate my crops as much as possible. I try not to plant, like where I'm planting the zucchini last year, I had watermelon there, so I kind of rotate things around a little bit because bugs like to hibernate into the soil. So all right, let's see what else we have. Oh, we got some nice cucumbers. Let me bring these bad boys out. So this is a Katrina cucumber, and this one is a pickling cucumber. Pickling cucumbers are from Hoss Tools. So Hoss Tools is where I get a lot of my seeds from. I also get this one, this Katrina one, is from a channel I like to really watch. It's called Lazy Dog Farm. His name is Travis, and this is Greg from Hoss Tools. Anyway, I like to watch Travis because he's kind of really laid back and he does things kind of chilled out, and that's kind of how I like to operate, chilled out and not all hyped up. Sometimes you see some of the other growers are a little hyped up, and it's just too much. I try to make this channel so an average person could say, hey, I want to grow a garden, and you go watch these videos and learn how to do it yourself off of simple things, like these little containers I got from Amazon. Get some topsoil you get from your local hardware store. I go to Ace Hardware. I don't know if you have Ace Hardware by you, but Ace Hardware has that Happy Frog soil like you use. So let's see what else we have. I have a whole bunch of cucumbers in here. I have another cucumber. Some of the cucumbers I grow directly into the soil, up a trellis, but some of them I start inside because the chipmunks like to come through and lawnmower them down. But this one is a I can never say this right. Long cucumber. I actually seen this one off of James Prigione's channel. This is a really kind of a funny looking cucumber. It's like crooked and different angles, and it's kind of ugly looking, but it's delicious. It's actually one of my favorite cucumbers. This is what a Japanese restaurant uses in their sushi. They basically julienne cut it. It's like where you cut it looks like little mini French fries. And they wrap that into their California rolls or different kind of sushi rolls because it has such a good strong flavor. It doesn't fall apart. Sometimes cucumbers get really soft. They kind of fall apart when you cut them small. These won't fall apart, and they're pretty much seedless, and they really absorb like if you put a sauce on it, like a vinegar, or in the case of soy sauce, you know, what you would put on for like a sushi roll or whatever kind of sauce you like. All right. And I also have some watermelon. Yeah. All right. I have 3 different kinds of watermelon. So the reason why I grow more than one kind of watermelon is I like to grow this one called Cracker Jack. It's actually a pretty difficult variety to grow because it's seedless, and seedless watermelons are actually not too easy to grow. They're pretty difficult. And this is not the one that you're going to buy in a store. That's like those seedless watermelons you get from the stores. This is a very extremely sweet, beautiful hybrid seedless watermelon. You'll never find it in a store. You might find it in a farmer's market. But that's why I basically get my own seeds so I could grow what I want to eat. This other one is called sangria. Sangria is basically another one that's a super sweet watermelon. It's a seeded water. It's a hybrid, so it doesn't have a lot of seeds in there, but it does have seeds in it. And then the third one is Crimson Sweet. You know, they all look great. And the Crimson Sweet is basically something that you would use as a pollinator for some of the other ones like the Cracker Jack. Because the Cracker Jack, since they're a seedless watermelon, they can't pollinate themselves. So you need another seeded watermelon plant, a whole separate plant to pollinate the little fruits that grow on the Cracker Jacks. So it's kind of neat. I learned that off of watching some of the videos with the commercial farmers. They'll grow seedless watermelon, and then a seeded watermelon. So they'll grow it in that, basically that fashion. So it'll be like 2 to 1. And basically they do that. So all their watermelons get, when you go out to the fields, you'll have like 2 seedless and 1 seeded all the way down the line, because that's basically how they get pollinated. So that's the one thing about like a hybrid watermelon is, if you don't have, a lot of people don't know that they go to a garden center, they buy a seedless watermelon plant, and they're like, my watermelons didn't turn out. It's because you need a seeded one to go along with it to pollinate it. So that's why, like I said, I get the Crimson Sweet, which are excellent. These are huge, beautiful. I mean, honestly, you could just eat these and be happy. You don't even need to grow the seedless ones. I just like the challenge. The seedless ones are kind of like a challenge. Like, all right, can you do it? And I've done it before, and they come out great, you know. But my favorite is like the Cracker Jack one. Some people, they'll grow like the yellow one, the orange one. I just like that deep red seedless watermelon. So, all right, so let's go ahead and grab our plants. All right, so let's grab our zucchini. Let's get these bad boys into the ground, and these are looking excellent. And like I said, these big plants were grown in this little greenhouse here. So it is possible to make your own little greenhouse and do the same exact thing. Honestly, please don't go out and buy these plants. I think these plants are like between $4, $5, $6 a piece. That's $12 I'm holding right here when I grew it myself. Yeah, it's going to cost you seed. It's going to cost you some time. 1 bag of soil for probably that whole thing here. And then the little containers are pretty inexpensive. And then you reuse them. You wash them and reuse them every year. All right, let's go ahead. All right, I pretty much have all the plants laid out. I have 4 the squash plants on that side, 4 zucchini plants on this side. I got my shovel, and I also have all-purpose fertilizer. This one here is 645. Basically, you want to use a pretty balanced one for zucchini. I would normally use like 10-10-10 or 4-4-4, something very balanced. 645 is pretty balanced, but I'm going to use this as what I have right now. This is from Happy Frolic, organic, all purpose. Give you a close up. Like you said, this one is a 645, so it's pretty balanced. So remember, this is for the plant growth, this is for the fruit growth, and this is basically for your root system and basically your absorption of minerals and water and calciums and everything for the plant itself. So let's go ahead and get these in the ground. All right, I'm gonna start with this first beauty. I'm gonna find that emitter on the drip line, which I have one right here. So let me just clear a little bit of this. And dig a pretty good hole here. There's a pretty good size pots. These pots I think are 5-inch, so usually with the zucchini and squash, I put them in a bigger pot because they grow so fast. They grow within a couple weeks. I'd say these have been probably 3 weeks. Clear any little debris in here. And use the balanced fertilizer. Just like before, I'm going to put it in a hole. And put a little bit of the soil back in there so it's not directly on the roots. Let me go ahead and get this plant ready to go. I don't need to put the inoculant on here, the mycorrhizer, because these roots are pretty well. Not every plant needs that. Well, is it more in the top? Yeah, these roots really can reach out and they have no problems at all. Oh, look who we have. The gang's back. You guys here to help me? Well, you brought Lily too. She's the boss. She's the boss of the chickens. Tell them what to do. I'm going to pop off some of these smaller bottom branches just so they're not directly into laying on the soil, because you get the slugs at night that like to kind of crawl up the plants. Don't you be chewing on my plants now. Hey, get Speckles, come on, get out of there. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Let me get these planted quick. All right, so these plants need to be, I'd say, good 2 to 3 feet apart from each other. So this is actually a good spot right here. I'm gonna go ahead and dig this one in. You know how much fun it is to have little helpers over here, digging up all your compost that you just put in. Yeah, I want to be everywhere as you are. Crazy chickens. What do you think, hey? I don't know if I want you. Oh, you're kind of worm. Good job. Now go chase her. All right. And the fertilizer sticks. I think I say that every video. Well, it stinks. Works really good though. Works really, really good. All right, so this is the part of the video I kind of like to give you some information about what we're growing. So both zucchini and the squash are both actually considered a fruit. They're in the class that are considered fruit. So with the fruit, you have a flower that needs to be pollinated, and it starts off with a really bright golden blossom. Both the male and the female flowers look the same, but the male flower usually appears first, and they're attached to a little thin stem. With the female flower, you'll see like a little baby fruit attached to it, so you know that's the actual harvest that's coming up. So but pollination is very important. It's key with growing zucchini and squash. Without pollinating, the fruits won't develop properly. So bees often do the job really well, but sometimes if you're experiencing a lot of rain or you don't see a lot of bees, you could actually hand pollinate them. Hand pollinate them, you could basically just, what I usually do is I take a Q-tip and just kind of go inside each flower and just kind of like, all you have to do is very gentle, just kind of like rub it inside the male flowers, and then rub it just a little tiny, get a little bit of that powder inside the female flower. So you know, it's really easy to pollinate. And you know, these plants, they grow really fast, they're very large. They do like to basically be in a nice sunny spot, so you want to make sure they're in a nice sunny spot. And they do like to be well drained, because You don't want them to get too much water and, you know, have the opportunity to sit in water where bugs like to harvest, you know, and like to grow. And they're attracted to, like, when a plant sits in water too long, it develops like kind of rot basically. And that's what really attracts a lot of your bad bugs. But you know, when you're harvesting the squash, it's good to harvest them when they're nice and young, like you've seen these pictures, you know, between like 6 to 8 inches, because they're a lot easy. They're tender, sweet, they don't have a lot of seeds in them, and they're amazing. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. This video was really good to make. It was so much fun with the chickens. You like my little drill gun here in the picture? I use that all the time. But anyway, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. And oh yeah, we got some steak. That was a beautiful day. A little bit of steak with some grilled zucchini and grilled vegetables. All right, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you next time.